to Transcendental Transformation, the place where spirituality and transformation unite. Host Miss Raina imparts truth so that you can break through your limiting beliefs and evolve into a deeper consciousness. As you go about your day, remember, before every breakthrough, there is a breakdown. And now, let's start the show.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode of Transcendental Transformation. I'm your host, Miss Raina, and today is Tuesday, November 21st, 2017. As always, we are coming live from the W4CY studios here in West Palm Beach, and I hope everyone is having an amazing weekend. Well, it's gobble gobble time. This Thursday is Thanksgiving, and I am excited because I love Thanksgiving. It is a time to celebrate with family and your friends and share gratitude and giving of not just of what we have, but who we are, what we experience, and all sorts of yummy stuff. So life is precious, and I don't think that we value ourselves or life as much as we should. We have to start learning to be thankful, not just a couple times a year, but throughout the whole year. Every day should be a form of gratitude. Every day should be a form of appreciation, not just towards ourselves, but towards others as well. It's so easy to get caught up in the drama. It's so easy to get caught up in your anger and emotions, but we have to learn to start getting away from this stuff and be thankful. And we have to learn to be thankful for the lessons that we learn throughout life. I know that some of our lessons are tough. I know some of it, sometimes it feels like the universe or a God or whatever we believe in is snowballing us and just, really giving it to it. But you know what? These lessons are meant to help you grow. And when we're thankful and we take a form of gratitude as appreciation that we're learning and growing and we're becoming stronger and more confident, I think that really shifts our perception. So, take time to cherish who you are. Take time to cherish those around you because, we're not going to be here forever, people. So I hope you all have a happy Thanksgiving, and make sure you guys write into me and let me know how everything's going. Chad, how are you doing? What are you doing for this Thanksgiving?
This Thanksgiving, we will be making the rounds once again. We'll do a little stop over at Heather's side of the family and, load up, eat, take the trimmings with us, and head over to my side of the family and do a little more eating and drinking there. But see, her side of the family has the children, so we're doing the stuff early.
Yes.
And then we're going over to my side, who doesn't. Their children have all grown up by now, but we'll go a little bit later into the night with some song and some spirits and stuff like that. Not those type of spirits. Yes. We're talking about alcoholic spirits. But, I like how you opened the show today by saying, why do we do this just at this part of the year? Like the Thanksgiving or the Christmas, everyone's a little bit nicer to each other. You're totally nailed it coming into the show. It should be every month of the year. We should be like this.
Yes, absolutely. And you know what? Chad is an amazing person who I know is smart, and he understands this stuff. And, I hope that you have an amazing Thanksgiving, because it sounds like you have a lot of family around here, at least to be able to do stuff with. And I know a lot of people don't have family. So, Thanksgiving and these holidays is sometimes tough for people, isn't it?
Yeah, and I was thinking, as we were talking before the show, I need to reach out to more people that don't have a place to go. At least ask them, what are they doing? If they say nothing, immediately, invite them.
Absolutely.
It's the right thing to do.
Absolutely. We get so caught up, people, in all of this stuff. And a lot of times we forget, especially when we're in relationships, we forget that there are a lot of people that aren't in relationships or don't have families. And to some of us, we take the holidays, as a rough time of year. So, Chad, thank you so much. And I appreciate you, and I hope you have an amazing Thanksgiving.
Thank you much. Happy Thanksgiving to you.
Thank you. So I put on an important YouTube video about creatine, because let me tell you something, or actually it's about supplementation, but it has to deal with creatine, because if you've been following my social media, then you know that I have had a major reaction to it. And, I had horrible heart palpitations, dizziness, lightheadedness. I actually thought I was having a heart attack. And, I always do my research, and even with my doctorate degrees and master's degrees in all these different alternative medicine fields and oriental medicine fields, it still doesn't mean that we know everything and that we're going to catch everything. And this is why it is so important that I implore you in everything that every show that we talk about health or anything, to just not like hear someone say, oh, I'm taking this, and go out and take it, because you never know how it's going to react. And even with my background and my research on creatine, there were some things that I missed, and I had I'm still suffering. Even today, I had some lightheaded dizziness and stuff, and I almost called in and canceled the show for the second week in a row because I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to make it. But everything seems to have calmed down. So, just because, and I want to tell you this, and I want you guys to remember this, just because it's on a store shelf, whether it's at the Vitamin Shop, GNC, or Whole Foods, or wherever it's at, doesn't mean it's 100% safe. So we like to think that if it's on the shelf and it doesn't have a prescription, that, hey, we're okay, everything's okay, and I can buy this and take so much, but you never know what it's going to interact with. Even with herbs and teas, like, you can go to the store and buy a lot of teas, and there could have reactions to some of them with medications or heart problems or kidney problems or whatever's going on. So please, before you just go and buy stuff, do your research, talk to a medical professional about it. Even if you have doctorate or medical stuff, it's always great to talk to other people that maybe have a little bit more knowledge in the area that you don't. So if you want to, go check that out. That's on the YouTube channel. If you'd like to give us a call tonight, you can call us at 561-623-9421. Make sure I'm on the web chat over here at the W4CY.com website. Download the W4CY radio app. And as always, the archive of this will be on youtube.com/Transcendental Transformation Radio Show. We are streaming on Facebook Live, and we are streaming on Periscope. So I hope I see you guys on one of these things, and let's get on with today's show. Today's show is all about friendships, because we have so many problems with friendships. We seem like we have, we have these things. We have girlfriends, we have boyfriends, moms and dads, acquaintances, and all these different forms of relationships. And sometimes we value different relationships over what depending on what's going on in our life. And when our friendships, to me, my friendships are very important. I try not to place a hierarchy over friendships, because for many of us, they are with us. And if you're one of those that are lucky enough to have a lifelong friend, maybe someone you grew up with in high school or grade school, and you've known them for 20 years, which is very rare, or 30 years or 40 years, and you guys are still close, that is so rare. But those people that we call friends, are the reason why they're closest to us. And we like to call them, we nickname them, oh, these are our BFFs, and we give them little key rings and keychains and necklaces to show our appreciation for them. And why? Because we bond with them. Isn't a friend supposed to be someone that we can bond with? Isn't it someone that's supposed to make an effort for us? We're supposed to cherish our friendships. I mean, we're taught at such a young age that friends are forever, and we should be able to hold value to them, and we should be honest with them, and all these different things. And friends are also supposed to be, someone that we can call for help. We have a shoulder to cry on. For some of us that that are going through challenges at certain times, they're supposed to be there for us, and they're supposed to be honest to us, aren't they? We have these ideas that, honesty is supposed to be part of the friendship, right? Truth, honesty, and loyalty are supposed to be part of the friendship, and they're supposed to help us pick us up when we fall. But if you notice, one thing that I've been saying over the last few seconds is supposed to. And they're also supposed to be unconditional love, right? They're supposed to be unconditional at all times. And I think that this is why so many of the friendships struggle or often fail, if you want to look at that in that sense, because, we have these ideas that we are supposed to have these expectations of that all these rules and regulations that haven't. We actually come with contracts and agreements to this idea that we expect what we're supposed to get out of these friends. And, people grow, people change, and we may be best friends with someone from 6th grade to 8th grade. Then all of a sudden we get into high school and everybody just changes and goes their separate way. And we look at each other and we say, well, what happened to them? They just totally changed. And, we always have this idea of what we think that friends are supposed to do for us. I think when our judgment comes in, because it's always about judgment, I think when our judgment comes in and we say, I have this idea of what I want in a friendship, and if it doesn't meet this criteria, then what ends up happening is we get upset with them, we fight with them, we yell at them, and all this chaos ensues. And this is why over the show I always teach about judgments and expectations and all this stuff, is because you're going to find out, even with Miss Raina's no words, that all of this chaos can be resolved if we learn to look at things a little differently. If we take time to separate ourselves from our emotions and separate ourselves from our judgments and our expectations, we will find that these ideas will fall away. Because if I know so many of you, I still get write-ins all the time and struggle with my no words. Well, Miss Raina, and I always say there's no good, bad, right, wrong, positive, negative, backwards, forwards, better, worse. And some of you have a hard time with that, and I understand. But let me tell you this. If we have a situation and we say, okay, well, our friend is supposed to be this, right? And if they do this, this is the right way, and they do this, this is the wrong way, or they do this, and this is a good friend, and they do this, this is a bad friend, right? Well, what causes the pain? What causes the anger? What causes the chaos? It's that judgment of the expectation that you put on your friend. Well, they're supposed to do this. They're supposed to act a certain way. They're supposed to be able to be there for me and say this and do these things. But every person is different, aren't they? I mean, I've never met someone who's similar to me. I've never met anybody that said, oh my God, you are exactly like this other person. We may have people that look similar, maybe, remind us a little bit, but everyone is completely different. And we have to look at the first thing, like I said, is coming with terms and agreements of expectations. We come with contracts, and we're going to get into contracts on a spiritual sense later. But even in this lifetime, we develop those contracts. We develop those ideas of saying, we're taught maybe through Sesame Street, Mr. Rogers, whatever. I know I'm showing my age a little bit right now, but we're taught, to be nice, to be kind, to do this, and to do all these different ideas. And those ideas become conditionings of supposed and expectations. And when we look at what a friend is supposed to do, we put pressure on our friendships or relationships of any sort. And I know this today's show is going to be mostly about friendships, but really aren't all our relationships, once we get to a certain age, our boyfriends, girlfriends, husbands, wives, moms, dads, don't they all kind of become our friends? And they do. And so all relationships are kind of revolve around this same idea. But our judgments really hurt us because of the pains of our past. How many of you can sit there and say, well, when I was a child, I was wide-eyed, I had all these ideas, I was so different. I was always so happy. Nothing really bothered me. I had a ton of friends, and I'd go out and I just seemed to be more comfortable talking to people and making friends. And then we have experiences where maybe someone, treated you mean, beat you up, got bullied, or whatever the situation is, maybe used you for your toys or family money, and all of a sudden we develop these ideas of right and wrong because we're told that. We're told that if something isn't this, then it's right or wrong. If we told something isn't this, then it's good or bad. And so right then we start to develop these walls against our friends. We start to develop these walls against all of our relationships. And we start to, even in the future, we start to accuse our friends of things that start to happen that haven't even happened. I know, even I used to do it many years ago, but I can basically have all you guys raise your hands, and if I asked you, how many times have you put on, a wall towards someone, or made, or sat there and said, oh, well, everyone's going to be like this, so I'm just going to act like this until they prove me wrong. You're already projecting your judgments and your expectations that somebody is going to hurt you, let you down, or whatever because of those experiences. And it's a very painful way to live. I was talking to a student the other day, and they were like, and I sat there and I said, well, they're like, well, the world just sucks. It's bad. It's, there's no good people in it anymore. And, what has happened to the world? But the world has always had people that you judge as good or bad, right or wrong, et cetera, et cetera. And I said, when you stop to take a look and you walk away from these type of judgments and you start to look at things in a different perspective and you stop projecting your past pain onto something else, you're going to find out that you're not going to take, everything so personally, and you're not going to find that all these people, because as the old saying goes, right, we attract and we see our perception what it is. So our perception of the world, that they're bad, then all we're going to do is see that the world is angry and nasty and everything, and if we choose the other way, then all we're going to see is this. And there's got to be some sort of healthy balance. And if we struggle with our friendships, if we struggle with these ideas or relationships of any part, then this tells you right away that you are unresolved from your childhood and the trauma that has passed. And even though we have other relationships and it always seems to repeat itself, it still stems from a certain area. So what did the past do? Where did it go? What did it do? What hurt you the most? What is the exact point that you look at it and you say, well, this is where it all started? How many of us can do that? Can most of us do that? Can we sit there and say, I know exactly when I started to have friend problems? Because I can tell you, and later on, I am actually going to let you in on my life. I really am. Usually it's about you guys and stuff, but I'm going to use my own life and to let you know that, hey, we all go through these experiences, and this is what I went through, and these are the walls that I built in order for me to understand what I had to bring down. Because it's so easy to get caught up in the drama. It's so easy to get caught up in the pain. And, and then we blame it. I mean, just think about this. Think about all the times you have let your insecurities or your anger or your judgments or whatever get the best of you. How about jealousy? No matter if it's a friendship or a relationship, how much of us has let our jealousy get ahead of us? And where does jealousy come from? Jealousy comes from our insecurity, right? It says that I don't have enough. I'm not good enough. I don't deserve the things that I want. And this is where we have to change our perspective, because if someone hurts us and then everyone gets punished for it, how is that fair to everyone else? But many of us do that, right? And we do that without consciousness. We do that subconsciously, and we just keep repeating it and repeating it. And the funny thing is if I ask people, well, hey, do you have an ego? Most of them are going to say, no, I don't, blah, blah, and da-da-da. And they're going to say, because we don't look at the things ourselves. So it becomes habit. And this is where we have to start changing our habits. We'll be right back after these messages from the Life of Raina.
A message from the Life of Raina. We live in a world faced with many tough challenges. Our lives become chaotic and filled with disaster ever so quickly, most of the time before we even realize. Our issues beat down our mental mindset, and an imbalance of emotions become prevalent. The Life of Raina is dedicated to helping people on the deepest spiritual level. Miss Raina, the creator of Transcendental Development and Growth, works on your core issues and finds the solutions which allow you to break free from the emotional bondages of life, helping you achieve the life you've always wanted to live. Isn't it time that you lived life for you? Call the Life of Raina, 561-846-2190, and schedule your appointment today. That's 561-846-2190. Or email thelifeofraina@icloud.com.
Okay, everybody, we are back. If you'd like to have any questions, you can either ask them on the Facebook Live or the W4CY.com website on the web chat, or you can give us a call back at 561-623-9421. And this is Miss Raina for Transcendental Transformation. And today we are talking about our friendships and the chaos sometimes it brings because of our issues. And right before the break, we were talking about how we choose because of our conditioning and our ideas of hurt and pain that we carried it into our future. And, when I tell people all the time that your childhood is the foundation for all the suffering and all the pain and all the lessons and even the joys too, people sometimes really don't think about that. And that's okay, because we don't sit there and we say, well, where was the foundation? Where did all of this start? Where did I start to learn these ideas? Where did I start to learn my belief systems? Where did I start to learn that either people were good or bad or right or wrong or mean or whatever? And this is what we have to start paying attention to. So I implore you that if you are having trouble in any forms of the friendships or relationships or anything, start to look back at your childhood and say, where did I learn to develop this anger or judgment or expectation in anything? The unconditional truth of a friendship, means just that. It's unconditional. And in everything you do in your life, you should have this idea of unconditional. And unconditional to me would mean honesty, loyalty, and truth, and respect. I mean, if I'm going to give my friendship to somebody, if I'm going to give my heart to somebody, and yes, my heart is equal, whether it's a friend, whether it's my family, or whether it's a relationship, it's going to be unconditional. Once someone shows me that they are deserving of my heart and my trust, then absolutely it is going to be unconditional. But you can't go into a friendship with these preconceived ideas of that somebody's going to set you up to hurt you, because you are specifically going to find that out. You're going to just say, hey, well, I'm just expecting failure because all my other relationships failed, everything else has failed, so why not this one, right? And I know a lot of us do that. A lot of us will sit there and have these ideas that everything is just going to fail. And even if you try to be positive in your life, and that you're still subconsciously aware that more things have failed than have gone successfully. And this is why you have to learn my no-no words. You have to learn that there's no such thing as my no-no words, because all of these ideas are creating those walls. They are the steel studs that are holding up your wall and rejecting the outside from coming in. And so you have to learn to understand that. And the funny thing is when we look at relationships and friendships too, why is it that our relationships are more important, our romantic relationships, why is it our romantic relationships are more important than our friendships? Why is it that some of us will find that we will have one of the best friendships ever, 20 years, and then the moment we find a relationship, it's adios, see you later, goodbye? Why is that? And we put so much effort into these friendships, and then all of a sudden we jump ship, and then we put all our effort into the relationship and not our friends anymore. And this is a sign that we are looking for something, and we are involved in our ego. We are involved in our insecurity of not being good enough for somebody. We have to be able to look at this and we say, well, this is a sign of lack of self-love. I enjoy my friendship, but as soon as someone gives me whether it's a real form of love or just hot in the moment form of love, and all of a sudden we're gone. And what about loyalty? What about devotion? I have had many friends, and including myself, I've pulled a few things in my past, especially in my high school and grade school years, and it taught me about these things. It allowed me to realize that, you just don't jump ship because you have somebody. And so many people do that. As someone who is approaching 40 in a month, and everybody's getting married, everybody's doing this, I don't think people really realize how easy it is that we forget our friends and we forget our people around us, and that don't have these relationships. And to me, I think you have to come to the conclusion that, if you have self-love and you have self-worth and you truly stand for loyalty and devotion and honesty, then you just don't skip out on your friends. What is romance more important to you than your friendship? Then if it is, then your friendships are not real. And that's, and we have to come to the brutal honesty of saying that it's not real. If I'm going to jump ship at every friendship that I have, or whenever it comes, or whenever I find or start dating and stuff, and I'm just totally gone, and then that tells me that I'm really chasing my ego. I'm really chasing my insecurity. I'm really chasing all these ideas that I'm really looking for, because in that idea we will never find. So I'm going to say, well, if you do this, I want you to really rethink what's going on in your life. I really want you to rethink your priorities and kind of say, hey, is this something that, am I really an honest person? Am I really a truthful person? And sometimes that hurts. Sometimes we realize that, yeah, maybe we are a little shady. Maybe we are a little flaky at times. Maybe our insecurities of trying to feel worth and trying to feel self-worth and confidence and get all these things that we're chasing from an external source, maybe when we flip like that, maybe we don't have it, and maybe we need to learn to develop these things. The best type of friends you're going to have is yourself. If you are not friends with yourself, if you don't like yourself, and if material items and other people and all these ideas, jobs and everything bring you happiness, but you hate to be alone, and this is the reason why you jump from person to person, relationship from relationship, then I implore you that you need to start immediately working on yourself. And where do we start working on ourselves? Back to our childhood. Start taking a moment. Take a moment. Turn off the TV. Take a moment. Turn off your phones. Our phones, we're so distracted by everything. Geez, when I look out, when I drive in the car just for S&Gs, I look at everybody, and did you know probably about 90 to 95% of people while driving are on their phone? And it is. And even Chad's making faces like, yeah, they're stuck on their phone, because it's true. And why? Because we don't want to have to deal with ourselves. We'd rather be a distracted society than have to deal with ourselves. But people who deal with themselves and work through themselves are able to sit with themselves. People ask me that all the time, Miss Raina, how do you stand being alone for 20 years? How do you stand not having a relationship for so many years? Whatever it's been. And I say, because I love myself. At one point I didn't, and in a second I'm going to get into it. I'm going to tell you, some of the chaos that I even created throughout my own thing. And, but now I love myself. I've made peace with everything. I've understood. I've came to an understanding, and my values of honesty and loyalty and truth to myself is more important than a phone or this relationship. And you know what? When you come to that point, you don't mind waiting. Hey, honestly, if I never date again, I'm perfectly happy with that. I am totally happy with that. If it comes along, great. Hey, you know what? If that comes along, I know it'll have a better chance of surviving in that relationship, because I am not going to bring my baggage or my expectations into that. And even with friends, I am not going to bring that baggage with my friends and judge them and say, hey, nope, you're just going to hurt me. You're just going to do this, and just kind of sabotage the friendship. So let's talk about my childhood a little bit, because I want to be honest with you guys. I'm not, I usually don't talk about myself in that sense, but I want to show you that, hey, even people everyone starts at a certain point. Every one of us, in your eyes, I don't believe in making mistakes, but everyone, goes through chaos. Everyone has to learn all these ideas. And, when I was growing up in Chicago, to me, the kids were mean and manipulative. They were all liars and thieves. I grew up in a not so great area in Chicago. They were all gangs all over everything, and everybody was there. And my first memories of my friends, or the supposed friends that I had, were all about, because my family had a successful business. So, and everybody else around us didn't have the success that my family had. So my friends used me. My friends didn't care about me. I had the most toys. I had the bikes. I had all this stuff, and everybody, wanted to hunt around with me for that. And I didn't realize that for many years. I used to think that, oh man, I have a lot of friends. But as I started getting older, and when I would get grounded, they'd be like, oh, well, I don't care if Raina can't come out. Can we just play with her toys? And can we just, go in the garage and ride her bike or do this or blah, blah. And when I used to hear that, I used to think, what do you mean you don't care? It hit me. And I sat there and then they would turn on me and steal from me. Even birthday parties. I hated to go to my friends' birthday parties. Why? Because I would have, there was 3 specific times where I went to my friends' birthday parties and they had some people there, and they purposely pinned me against another person to get into a fight where I actually got, for their birthday, into fist fights and then they would jump on me and stuff, and I was like thinking, what kind of friends do I have? What is going, and I would have to call my parents. I was a mess. I would cry because I would feel so betrayed. And I always had that heart. I always had that, the caringness, the overgiving. I was an overgiver. I just wanted to, make everyone happy. So if my friends didn't have the money or they couldn't buy lunch, hey, guess who was so easy to give it away and just, and just pay for the lunch. But what I was developing was codependency. I was trading off, a fake friendship for money and gifts and all that stuff. And a lot of times we have this happen. And I hated birthday parties and after the 3rd time of getting into a fight with some people and I knew that this was purposely set up this way. I never went to birthday parties anymore. And still to this day, I still don't enjoy my birthday. I got over it and everything like that, but my mind still says, well, it's another birthday, remember this, blah, blah. And birthdays became a thing of, I just didn't care anymore. I just didn't care. Now I'm older to the point where it's just like, okay, well, it's just another day. But when I was in high school and everything, you can ask my family, I never wanted a birthday party because I always had this idea that birthdays were associated with violence and anger and judgment and trading up. And so, we were put in situations daily. Well, from some of even the brothers and sisters of people who I would be forced to fight, that well, if you don't do this to this person, we're going to hurt you. And these kids were in high school, and I was maybe 8th grade or high school, and I was 5, 6 years old. So to me, those kids were big. And it didn't matter if you're a boy, girl. This was done to everybody. And I remember this clearly, that the first time I was actually forced to beat up one of my neighbors, and she was, this young girl, and they surrounded us gang style, and they said, one of you two are either you two are going to fight, or both you guys are going to get, And I was forced to fight her. Why? Because I was so afraid that I let my fear control me, and I let these things. And I still remember this girl, Liana, to this day. I've made peace with it, but for years it haunted me. And for years I felt like I did not deserve a friendship because of all these things. This was my idea of friends. My idea of friendship was fighting and stealing and lying and all this stuff. And honestly, for years, I never had a true friend, and that's one of the reasons why I started to become a loner. And I just grew up, it was normal thinking. And so when I got into grade school and high school, we moved out of the city for a better life, and we moved to the suburbs where we thought everything was going to be peachy keen. Well, we happened to move next door to one of my bullies from 5th grade all the way through senior year of high school. I mean, we fought all the time. I mean, every day was either he was spray painting our house or fining us or getting half the school against me. And it was just constant. It was a constant thing. And when I finally got two friends, I had two friends that I actually thought, these two were really nice. One of them was Brad in grade school, and we had such a great friendship. And for a short while, I used to enjoy my friendships. And this is what we do because our fear controls us. Our fear says, hey, well, if this is, if my fear is saying, well, hey, this is going to happen again, then the moment we start to enjoy a friendship or relationship, our ego and our survivor gets in the way and says, hey, we need to sabotage this because this is getting too real. And so with my neighbor constantly picking on me and fighting on me, I got so sick of it. I got so sick of this idea that I said, you know what? It's better to join them than to get beat up by them every single day. I mean, I would miss school. I would have anxiety, panic attacks. I would just, sometimes I would have to have teachers walk me to classes and even to my buses and cars. And it was always a constant day thing. And this is one of the reasons why I ended up developing a hard case of anxiety and panic disorders, and that because it was always this way. And so one day I remember finally just getting angry, and I turned on Brad, and I did, and I, we were really close, and I just remember walking up to him because these kids were challenging me and stuff, and I just walked up to him. I said, "Oh yeah, you don't think I can do it?" And I took out my anger on one of my best friends, and I popped him. I popped him so hard. I mean, the whole school heard it. Even a teacher way down, and they ran over, and it was like, and after that, it was a weird feeling because it was a feeling of going against who I was, but at the same time, satisfaction of releasing the anger. And I traded that. I just wanted the pain to stop. I wanted these ideas. I wanted to fix all these ideas, but I was so young that I didn't know how to do it. And it was the same with Brandon and Willie and all that stuff. I had two other friends, and I did the same exact thing because it continued. And I thought that maybe if I got a friend that this idea would happen, and it just continued to do that. And finally, when I was in grade school, my dad enrolled me in Taekwondo, and my dad was like, okay, you're going to learn how to protect yourself because it was just that. And so I started pushing back, and when I got into high school, it was still continued with Justin and everything, and the gangs got bigger, and I started fighting. I mean, there was times, like I said, where I would come out the house and there'd be 50 cars lined around our cul-de-sac blocking me off, and kids waiting around with baseball bats to beat me up. And and the anger just grew, and I remember one time I had a situation with my friend Willie that all of a sudden he got his car broken into while with me, and all of a sudden he blamed me, and he's like, "Oh, you were part of it. You were part of it." And I sat there and I said, "Wow." I was like, and I just had it at that moment. I said, "You know what? If this is what friends are all about, if this is what life is all about, then I just don't care." And you know what? I turned on Willie. I started fighting with him. I just dumped Brandon in a second, and I said, "You know what?" I said, "I'm going to be on my own, and I don't care anymore." And I got fed up, and I said, "That's it." and this is why our anger, this is why I teach you about emotions, this is why I teach you about control, is because it's so easy for us to lose control. It is so easy for us to give in to our ego. It is so easy for us to just not care, and so many of us don't care. We are in so much pain that we adopt the DGF style, as most of us used to say in the old days, and we do. I mean, how many of us are just tired of being hurt? How many of us are tired of this? And so, I mean, I know so many good people. I watch on social media. I contact people that I used to grow up with, and I see their posts, and I see their anger, and I see all these ideas, and it affects their relationships. It affects their mom, with their dad, their brothers and sisters. I mean, hey, I even had trouble with my sister as well, and and you have to be able to. You're throwing punches over there, Dean. And you have to be able to say enough, There has to be a point where you have to remove yourself from the situation and be able to say, what is more important? Who am I? What am I about? Because a relationship, whether with a friend or a romantic or whatever, has to be with you first. And that sounds cliche, that sounds corny, I get that, but it is so important. And that's what I did. I sat there and I said, okay, well, I'm tired of my gender issues. I'm tired of doing that. I'm tired of the pressure of this. And I just felt like everything was pressure. And the only way to escape pressure is what? Is we act out, because we don't know how to deal with our emotions. We don't know how to deal with it. How many times of talking to this show, when I said stuff, how many of you had flashbacks of times that people hurt you? And why have you had flashbacks? Because the pain is there. Your mind and your heart are so smart that it is telling you, hey, this is unresolved. I need you to do this for me. I need you to be able to work on this with me, but you don't. And that's why we're on our phone. That's why we play video games. That's why we drown ourselves and immerse ourselves in work and ideas and movies and all this superficial stuff. Our friendships must develop with a core of honesty, and you must learn to take down those walls. You must learn to be able to stop being the rebel. I get it, people. I get it. It is so easy. It is so easy just to be the rebel. It is so easy just to say, screw it, I'm done. I don't care about you. I don't care. But let me tell you, it takes more class, more strength to be kind to someone and to show someone compassion, even if they don't deserve compassion. Because how did I heal? How did I deal with somebody who bullied me and picked on me and destroyed my parents' house from 5th grade to a senior year in high school, almost like seriously when I tell you almost daily, I'm not kidding you. And how did I learn to forgive that? How did I learn that someone who taunted me and gave me so much anxiety and stress and actually ended up allowing me to destroy my own friendships? I take full credit for that. But how do you forgive that? How do you work through that? And that's what you have to learn to do. You have to be able to say, hey, I need to start working on this self and choose me. You have to be able to look at that self and say, okay, well, what is the emotion of anger for? The emotion of anger tells us that, yes, we are angry, but it tells us that we have this idea of judgment. It tells us that life is unfair. When you are angry, you think that life has been unfair to you, and life is not unfair to you. Our lessons are meant to help us. Our friendships are meant to help us, and we must learn to develop these friendships and relationships with one another, not just as friends, but with everybody out there. And these are all forms of relationships. You must learn what truth means. What does truth mean to you? Not belief. Belief is totally different. Belief is something that we're guessing. What is your truth? What does truth mean to you? What does loyalty mean to you? Are you always loyal to people? Are you always honest? Because let me tell you something, I'm always honest to people. And at first, yes, I was coldly honest. I was one of those, well, if you don't like it, then don't be my friend. And I thought I was all, tough, and I thought I was all being, and I found out that no, honesty doesn't mean you have to rip people apart. It doesn't mean that you have to, it has to be your way or the highway. It means sharing compassion and allowing your friends to be them. Do you allow yourself, are you yourself? Are you yourself when you're around friends? Do you allow your friends to be them? Or do you have to put on this show? Do you have to put on this hat and this face mask every day of that I have to do this because I have to do this for survival? Because a friendship or a relationship should never be about survival. If you have to go into something with protection, let me tell you something, and it is going to, in your mind, fail. Because you're never going to be authentic to yourself. What does that word mean, authentic? What is authenticity? Authenticity means being true to your heart, right? Being true to your thoughts. It has nothing to do with your belief systems. It means being who you are, and it takes a long time to develop. And you know what? I don't have many friends. I really don't. But the people around me are authentic, and they allow me to be authentic. I don't judge them for what they say, what they believe in, even if we totally disagree, even if there's something that we totally disagree on, and that's okay. They can still be themselves, and I can still be mine, because I know that kindness and authenticity and loyalty and honesty are going to win out. I was talking to another student of mine about a week ago, and they asked me about that. They're like, well, how do you teach people? Like, if you're being around your friends and they're all one way and you're not that way, how do you teach them? And I say, you have to be you. It's like I said, it's easy for us to make fun of others. It's easy to pin judgments against each other, especially our friends. But when you're authentic, when you're able to do that, and you look at things and you're not in survival mode, you are able to allow people to relax. And when people feel comfortable around you, how many of us do that? How many of us, when we first meet someone, we're very awkward, we're very shy, we're very closed and stuff, and we want to see what they're about. And then all of a sudden, once we feel safe around them, after a period of time, we're able to relax and open up. Well, if you allow people to open up, if you allow people to feel relaxed about you, and you show them what truth means, what loyalty means, what kindness means, what honesty means, and you show them that they don't have to be in fear, because you're no longer in fear. And you show them that you have to be, and being kind to someone is much stronger and easier than being mean to someone, you're going to find that all these ideas, all these conditionings fall apart. We have to be able to allow people to be authentic. We have to allow people to let go of the past. And if your friendships, if you have a friend right now and you're butting heads on something, I guarantee you, one, it's ego, because it's always ego when we butt heads. When two of us are running heads and we don't want to give way, it's always our ego. And it's the ego because one of us is playing the victim, or both of us are playing the victim, or one may be survivor and victim, but it's because we have these ideas that these ideas are going to make us who we are, and they don't. Kindness is the popular choice, not being mean. Compassion is the popular choice, not being mean. I know that's tough in this society, especially here in Florida. We're making fun of and poking fun of everyone and telling everyone, that they don't get it, or they don't do this, or blah, blah, or they're stupid, or whatever. I know that seems like it's the popular and fun choice to do, but it's not. And I tell you that, it's not. People, you will find truer friends the more true you are to you. And friendships are amazing, aren't they? If you had a lifelong friend, someone that's like your family, and I do, when I have a friend that has been there for me, especially through thick and thin, and that they are my family. And you know what? Nothing, and as much as I love myself, that is such a treat to know that I have someone that is there for me. Even my protege, who is not here today, I may be his mentor and he may be my protege, but you know what? We have been there for each other in other ways too, and have developed a friendship, and I consider him a part of my family. And to know, and you know what? Even when I had these episodes with the heart and everything last Sunday, and this, he was there at a drop of a hat. And you know what? That's friendship. That's loyalty. He didn't have to just drop everything he did because Miss Raina is having a panic attack and think she needs to go to the hospital. But when they come out for you and they're willing to drop, that's loyalty, that's friendship. And you know what? I would do that for them. Learn to let go of that. If you've had bullies in your life, learn to make peace with that. I get it. People are always going to judge you. People, I deal with that a lot with my students. Is people get bullied. Bullying is a huge problem, especially when we're kids, and we're angry towards everybody else when we're adults. And you have to stand for truth. Make peace with that bully, because that bully taught you something. If you learn to look at the lessons in our friendships and our relationships and our interactions with everything, you're going to see things that it's not someone picking on you or a universe or whatever picking on you. It's a lesson to make you grow. It's a lesson. And if you can have people that Are we still on there? Okay. If you can have these lessons to make and learn that we can grow, then you're going to find that life can be wonderful and these friendships develop into something amazing. All right, everybody, that is tonight's show. I hope you enjoyed it. I am going to go home and rest. I feel a little exhausted. So if you want to follow us on our Facebook at facebook.com/Transcendental Transformation Radio Show. Visit our YouTube site at youtube.com/Transcendental Transformation Radio Show. Visit my website, soulandspiritguide.com, and sign up for our VIP, for our newsletter, for our VIP to get special offers. And email us with any questions at transcendentaltransformations@gmail.com. Make sure you visit the w4cy.com website, and always remember to believe in yourself, and it's not our abilities or our talents that make us who we are, but it is our choices. Thank you, and have a wonderful evening.